That feeling when you post something that you think is really beautiful or authentic, and then you cringe so hard that you want to run away, that's what most people experience when it comes to posting and expressing themselves. That's what I experience, and I'm sure that you felt this too. But understanding this reaction takes the sting out of it so that eventually you can actually share without the shame. Cringe is a very real, visceral social pain. It usually shows up when something feels not normal or socially exposed, like you've stepped out of what's actually acceptable. But there's a difference between someone cringing at you cringing at yourself, and you imagining other people cringing over your work. Most of the time, it's the last one. When people say they're scared of judgment, what they're usually talking about is the fear of rejection, being pushed aside, not accepted, being excluded. But here's the most interesting part. People tend to cringe the hardest at things that they secretly feel within themselves. That's the insight we're going to use later on. So when authenticity actually feels like too much, it's not random, it's close to being something real. Even calling someone cringe creates the distance between you and themselves and creates the distance from your own vulnerability. It's a way of saying, well, actually, I'm not like that. But let's be honest, detachment feels safer than sincerity or authenticity. And it takes some real balls to put yourself out there on YouTube, on social media, to be expressing in a way that you care about. The reason it feels so intense is something called the spotlight effect. You start hyper-focusing on yourself, you think about how you look, how you move, how you speak, and on top of that you are creating a self-consciousness and an anxiety that feels like a spotlight, and you have this hyper awareness of constantly being watched, even if that feeling is created by you. But here's the shift. That reaction actually points to a higher self-awareness. It's a sign for higher self-awareness. It's usually what happens when your current self no longer matches who you are becoming. There's a gap between who you are privately, how you are growing into the new person you're becoming, and how you're expressing that publicly. And that gap is what feels so uncomfortable, especially if you're someone who reads people well, who understands energy, tonality, social nuances, and you are emotionally intelligent. You will be better at putting yourself or imagining how people might perceive you. So you don't just experience reactions, you actually pre-feel them. And that's why it hits harder. But here's what I'll challenge you to do. Instead of reacting, sit with it. Let the feeling pass before you decide to delete, hide, shrink, run away, isolate, whatever your coping mechanism is. Because cringe tends to usually show up before a massive identity breakthrough. Why? It's the same feeling of being stretched out of your comfort zone. Your entire comfort zone and identity that you assume about yourself is stretching and it's evolving. So what if cringe isn't something to avoid but something to follow? Here's the insight. Here's how you can use this for good. What if it's actual feedback that you're stepping into a person you want to become? Something is calling to you and you are following that intuition. You are one step ahead of people who don't. Your mind will naturally try to protect you. It's wired to make you do that too. It's wired for avoiding social rejection. But the real lesson here is you don't need to feel ready to become visible. You just need to be willing to share, to be willing to be uncomfortable for a little bit so you can express yourself without constantly shrinking and without always feeling this constant layer of shame when you are trying to be authentic. The more you stay with that feeling instead of running away from it, the more you grow through your expression, through your becoming, not before it. That's a constant lesson I have to remind myself, but it's constant work. And the more you express yourself and allow yourself to unfold, the more the unfolding is gonna create clarity, which then you can perfect in the long term. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.